Hey everybody, Ed Homewood, Old Guy Hi-Fi channel. I hope everyone's doing well today. Today should be an interesting video. We're going to take a look at the ELAC Debut 3.0 DF63 floor standing speakers. So sit back, relax, and we'll get going on this review. So what is the ELAC Debut 3.0 DF63? Well, it is obviously a floor-standing three-way bass reflex speaker. As of the date of the filming of this video, they sell for $1,400 for the pair. Now, it is an interesting new design. Many of you may remember I have the original Debut 2.0 F62s, which was the older version of this. And there's been some nice changes. One of the things, the big one, is they've redesigned the aramid woofer. It's an aramid fiber cone with a much nicer surround. It is a butyl rubber surround versus the expanded foam surround that mine have. So new motor structure, new woofers, so forth. The other interesting thing is that my original towers are really kind of a 2.5 way. These are a true 3-way. So these are doing bass duty, and then they cross over to this at 550 hertz. And so this mid-range, this 6-inch mid woofer is acting strictly as a mid-range from 550 hertz to 2000 hertz, where it crosses over to the new 1-inch aluminum dome tweeter. It's got a little phase plug in it right there. So the reported frequency response is 31 hertz to 38,000 hertz, and I think that's a plus or minus 6 dB. I will tell you, in-room response is very close to that 31, in the 30s for sure. They are a nominal 6 ohm impedance. They have a sensitivity of 87.5 dB, so not difficult to drive, and really nicely built. Now I'll include some cutaway pictures of the new tweeter. You'll see that here, and it's a new aluminum dome tweeter. They redid it. They used to use soft dome tweeters, and I think the reason they wanted to go to the aluminum dome is for the extension, but they've really kind of tuned it so that it is not shouty or bright. It doesn't really sound like a metal dome tweeter. It sounds very much like a good extended cloth dome or soft dome tweeter. Really nice. They also have redesigned, as I mentioned, the woofers, and you'll see a cutaway picture of those there. It is a new aramid fiber. It's designed to be really light and robust, and one of the things that they were focusing on with this aramid fiber in the new surround is woofer cones can get a thing called edge breakup right at the edge of the cone where it's moving, because remember, a woofer is pistonic. All speakers work by either compressing or rarefying the air next to them. And so if you have a woofer that's not linear in its motion, or as it extends out, as it is going through its excursion, and that the cone wants to try to flare, you get what's called edge breakup. So they spent a lot of time making a very lightweight, very rigid cone so that you can get really good bass, and I will tell you they do really good on bass. It is a ported box. If I didn't mention, I'll put a picture of the port right there. Now, the cabinet itself this is a way better built speaker than my Debut 2.0s. Honest to God, it is not even a contest. I thought, is this right? Is this what they did? And they kept it pretty much the same price. So the cabinet is very well braced. You'll see a cutaway of the cabinet over here. It is very well braced. It's made out of 16 millimeter MDF. So really solid. And I think cosmetically, they really did a much better job on this than they did on mine. This is the walnut finish. It's also available in a black finish as well. But just the baffle itself is just so much nicer. Magnetic grills, which my old ones didn't have, and they constantly broke. The little pins on the grills would break. So there you go, magnetic grill. And again, the little pins on mine used to break all the time. And I actually had to order a new set of grills from ELAC for it. So I think it does a really good job as far as build quality and value for money. I think this is a really high value product. It is in the same category as my beloved Wharfdale Diamond 12.4s, and I will draw some comparisons between the two, but I am mightily impressed with the build quality on this. So how did I test these ELACs? I used pretty much my normal methodology. I used the Advanced Paris A12, which of course is a almost 200 watt a channel dual mono big Class AB integrated amplifier, but it can run Class A. It's got a high bias switch for the first few watts. It also has a really nice tube buffer. I also did use for a time the Vincent SV500 MK, which I'm reviewing, and that is a 50 watt into 8 ohm hybrid, tube hybrid class AB integrated amplifier. And I did use tubes on it. I did use the Black Ice F22. For sources, I use Artivana, which I normally do, running off my Artivana server into a USB isolator and out to, I use 2 different DACs for this review. On the Advanced Paris A12, I used the Live Harmony DAC, which is really good, and I did use the Live Micro DDC. And then for the Vincent and the Black Ice F22, I used a new piece I've got in. It's the Shanling SM 1.3. It is a streamer DAC, really cool piece. I can't wait to get the review out to you guys. I just need to double check on availability because we're in that kind of limbo period of time right now. And that performed really well, and I used the Matrix X SPDIF 3 as the DDC reclocker on that. For speaker wires, all my cabling is Wire World, although I did use for a period, for a while, some Argent Pure speaker cables, some silver speaker cables. And I listened to a wide variety of music. Now, these did really well. I will tell you straight up, it's a way better speaker than the Debut 2.0 floor standing version of it, but really, really surprised me and really impressed me. So let me tell you a little bit about some of the music I used, and then we'll summarize and I'll give you my full thoughts. So of course I listened to a lot of different music. Now for the first 2 weeks I had these, I did have the ELAC Debut 2.0s here so I could do some side by side. I ultimately loaned those to my future son-in-law and he's got them right now. But my notes and everything are fresh in my mind on that. So I wanted to do something different. I used to listen to a lot of classical. I listened to a lot of stuff I was familiar with on the original ELACs on these so I could draw some good comparisons, and I will make some comparisons. But I wanted to do something for this review, something a little interesting. So I used a playlist from a viewer. All I know is he's called Wiz, and the playlist is called Favorites, and it's some great R&B and some funk, and so they're really good tracks on it. I think there's 41 tracks on the title list, and I think there's about 6 less on the Qobuz version because not everything transferred properly. But the first track I used was from Candace Springs, and it's called People Make the World Go Round. Now this is off her 2018 album called Indigo, and it's a real soulful kind of jazz inflected take on the 1972 classic by the Stylistics, People Make the World Go Round. I love the Stylistics back in the day. It's got this kind of moody, minimalist instrumentation, and her vocals, her voice is so beautiful and so smooth, and this is a really good recording. She just comes through beautifully, just lovely. She kind of brings this, I don't know, kind of this quiet intensity to the song. Obviously the song was written in the 70s, so there's, it is kind of a protest song. There's a little bit of social unrest themes in it. There's economic struggle themes in it. And there's also kind of, the resilience of humans, of people themselves. Her interpretation really kind of highlights the emotional depth of the lyrics, offering kind of a more modern version of it rather than that kind of 70s pop, well, not R&B, I guess, funk version from the Stylistics. So it's a real modern yet, I think, respectful homage to the original song. And it also kind of fits in really well with this whole album's, because I did listen to the whole album, introspective and kind of genre blending sound. So what was the next song I used? So the next track I used was this track from Georgia Smith called Goodbyes. It's off her 2018 album called Lost and Found. And it's really kind of a very tender, very kind of minimal ballad. Again, you guys know I have a thing for female vocalists. Her voice is just beautiful. There's this kind of very soulful character to it, kind of a lot of emotional depth in her voice. You kind of hear that emotion from, the lyrics that she's trying to convey. And it's backed by kind of a very soft acoustic guitar. And the song, the lyrics of the song kind of explore themes of love lost and, fond memories or not so fond memories, kind of the pain of breaking up, whether it's someone passing away or just a breakup in a relationship. Her delivery is really intimate and very haunting. It is just beautifully recorded, really well recorded. And you get this kind of sense of quiet reflection. It captures the vulnerability at the heart of saying goodbye. And that's kind of what this theme, obviously the song's called Goodbyes. So that's kind of the theme. This is an amazingly well recorded song, or actually the album itself. Just beautiful. Her voice is just remarkable. So I used a really interesting track next. Well, for the next track, I used this track from Michael Kinouka called Piano Joint. this kind of love. And it's off of his 2019 album, a self-titled album, Kiwan Uka. I'm mispronouncing and I apologize for that. It's a really soulful, introspective track that blends a lot of kind of vintage warmth to it, a real interesting sound with a lot of modern depth to it. It's beautifully recorded. His voice is beautifully textured. It's all anchored by this gentle piano, which I think he plays. There's some rich orchestration in it. The song explores themes of kind of weariness, just kind of being emotionally tired, kind of a longing or a search for some sort of genuine connection with either people around you or the world in general. The vocals carry this kind of quiet intensity, reflecting a deep vulnerability. And because he writes the songs, he's kind of questioning the authenticity of love in a world that often feels very indifferent or apathetic. I mean, it's a really poignant, kind of slow burning piece that exemplifies Michael's obviously blend of soulful folk and kind of psychedelic influences. This is a magnificent recording. The album is really good. I encourage you to check it out. Really, really good. So, what did I think of these things? So the ELAC Debut 3.0 DF63s. This is a really good speaker, especially at its price point. Compared to the old one, it's not even a contest. This is so much better, and I hate to say that because Andrew Jones is a friend of mine, but I know that ELAC didn't give much of a budget for Debut 2.0 series, and I think they've increased the budget because the price has gone up just ever so slightly on these. But you can tell there was more time, effort, and energy put into these as far as fit, finish, just overall sound quality, the quality of all of the componentry. I mean, the cabinet is really beautiful. The baffle is really beautiful. Even though it's a vinyl veneer, it is actually very, very pretty. New magnetic grills, all that stuff. New tweeter, new woofer drivers, new crossover components. It really is a far better speaker than the Debut 2.0, which I love those speakers. This just is so much better. Now, obviously, many of you know that my everyday driver is a pair of Wharfedale Diamond 12.4s, which are in and around the same price range. It's a little bit of a different design. It has a soft dome tweeter with two 6-inch, what they call clarity woofers. So it is really basically a two-way, but it is a larger volume cabinet. So if on the bass side, it digs a little deeper. They're very close. Here's the thing. There's no winner here. They're both excellent. I still just ever so slightly prefer the Wharfedale, and maybe it's just a sentimental thing. Maybe it's from a sound quality standpoint, these are excellent. Through the bass, I think they claim 6 dB down at 31 hertz. I think they get into the 30s in room response without any problem. I didn't feel the need for a subwoofer. The bass was fast and articulate and very quick, very well defined. Maybe a little bumped. I think that's maybe one of the secret sauces of this, and I don't mind that at all. I don't mind a little bump in the bass. So it's really good, very clean, very good pace to it. Drum kits, attack was excellent. Kick drums had good snap to them. Snares, toms, all that sounded correct. Cymbals sounded correct. There was no sibilance. The male vocals, Michael Kiwanaka's voice was just deep and resonant and very well defined, very well rendered. And same with the female vocals, Candace Springs or Georgia Smith. They were really well done. So I think the crossover network is actually really well designed. I don't know the slopes on it. I'm going to assume they're 12 dB per octave Linkwitz-Riley slopes. And I think they run these in series, and then this one, in series, and then this is run on its own leg of the crossover. And really good. So mid-range was very well reproduced. Even for a 6-inch, it did a really, really good job. I didn't detect any issues in it. I thought it was so dependent on the amplifier, and kind of the stuff I used was all kind of a warm sounding. The A12 is a very warm sounding amp. Obviously the the Black Ice F22, being a tube amp, has some warmth to it, but that also has some really good, all of them have really good bass. The Vincent SV500 MK, that's a remarkable amp. That's a Class A/B tube hybrid. That review will be coming soon. That worked really well on this. So they performed quite well. Now, side by side against the Wharfedales, again, I think I would give the edge, just to my ear, to the Wharfedales. The Metal Dome tweeter didn't really make itself super apparent as being Metal Dome. It was really smooth. It was detailed. But one thing I did notice, and I didn't notice this when I did the little 5-inch bookshelves, the DB53s. this kind of, I felt like it was rolled off a bit on the top end. I didn't feel like it had quite the same extension as the Wharfedale. It had better extension, better frequency response, better everything than the Debut 2.0 for sure. But I don't know, I think they, maybe in this particular version of it, that Metal Dome, I think they rolled it off a little bit on the top end. I didn't feel like I got a tremendous amount of extension at the limit. These are nitpicky things. Remember, these are nitpicky things. Overall, they threw a great image. I mean, obviously, a lot of that depends on the source they're plugged into and all that other stuff. Laid down a really good image, wide, deep, good center focus, good height. I thought really good instrument placement, not super razor sharp, but good. And again, for me, I just want to generally know where instruments are. I don't need to know that there's an instrument right there or whatever. I just want general placement, but they did a really good job with that. They did a real good job with large scale music like orchestral pieces. They did a real good job with intimate pieces like these 3 tracks that from the playlist by The Wiz. They did a really, really good job. I can recommend these a lot. They were, I think, really easy to drive. The 50 watt Vincent, it's 50 watts at 8 ohms and 80 watts at 4 ohms. So somewhere in the middle, 65 watts or whatever is probably what it is at 6 ohms, which is what these are. It did really good. It had plenty of drive. They would play loud. Now, as you got up the volume level, I think they started and you got to be pushing it. I mean, I'm talking about peaks in the mid to upper 90s. The tweeters started to get a little bit shrill, but a lot of speakers exhibit that kind of characteristic at those volume levels. The Wharfedales do a bit, maybe not the same, but these, for regular listening, for home theater, whatever, this is a great speaker. Really highly recommended. I like them. I have a predisposition to ELAC speakers anyway, because I own some. And I actually still own a pair of DBR62s, and I own the Debut 2.0 F62s. But these are much better speaker than the old Debut version. Much, much better. Really, really good. Highly recommended. Good transients, good dynamics, good smooth delivery, maybe a little cool on the top end, but that, again, I think that's at Metal Dome tweeter. But then where it was getting cool, I felt like it was kind of just rolling off a little bit, like there was a little bit of a little less detail kind of in that upper, piccolo or a triangle, or, the sense of air was not quite as well resolved as maybe the Wharfedales, but still really, really satisfying. Anyway, the ELAC Debut 3.0 DF63s. Highly recommend. This is a great speaker. Really, really nice. Oh, and one of the other nice things, and you saw it in the B-roll, these new speakers come with outriggers and spikes. Now, I have isoacoustics on them because all of my speakers have isoacoustics on them. But the old Debut 2.0s didn't come with, they just came with spikes on a base, and they were really not very stable, especially on a carpeted surface. These, rock solid, really good. I just needed to mention that because for me, that was a big upgrade because that was always kind of one of the bugaboos on the Debut 2.0s was the fact that if you even got near them, they'd fall over. And I knocked them over once or twice, and they had dents in the case because of it. Anyway, so the ELAC Debut 3.0 DF63s, highly recommended. I think it's a great piece at $1,400. Really, really like these a lot. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you'd be willing to give me a like and your subscription. I would greatly appreciate that. In the spirit of full disclosure, there will be an Amazon affiliate link for these in the pinned comment and in the video description. There's also a membership link to the channel in the pinned comment and in the video description, and I would greatly appreciate your like and subscription. There are also some affiliate links in the video description. There will be links, as best as I can do, all title, no problem, for this playlist and these tracks, and Qobuz where I could find them. And I think I got all 3 tracks from Qobuz. I don't know that I got the entire playlist when I did the transfer over from Tidal to Qobuz. But anyway, those links are in the video description. So comment, let me know, are you in the market for a floor standing speaker? I'm a power speaker kind of guy. In my mind, if you've got a stand mount speaker, it takes up the same amount of floor space. Yes, they're not as visually maybe as imposing, but I think with a tower, sometimes you get really good bass because you got a larger cabinet or you got the ability to have more drivers in it. So I'm kind of a tower guy and I like these a lot. So comment, let me know your thoughts on that. I've covered everything I needed to cover. Yep, please like, subscribe, comment for sure. If you want to, you can follow me on Instagram. My name is Ed Homewood. This is the Old Guy Hi-Fi channel, and it's now your duty to yourself, as I always say, to put on some beautiful music, sit back, relax. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day.